genre.
Back to the Doctor's Companion presents Doctor Who The Long Way Round, the weekly podcast where we review and discuss every episode of Doctor Who, one doctor at a time. I'm Scott Corelli.
I'm Cassandra Fredrickson.
And I'm Nick Jimenez.
And today on the show, we are discussing the Claws of Axos, the third Doctor's seventh story. The Claws of Axos comes to us from the Bristol Boys. This would be Bob Baker and Dave Martin, known around the BBC as the Bristol Boys, and this is their first story. It will not be their last, unfortunately.
No. Yeah.
So Bob Baker and Dave Martin, they basically held a variety of jobs before getting into writing for television in the late 60s. Baker worked in animation, and then the pair tried to get interest in their material by the BBC. They started writing plays for things like teleplays for various shows, and eventually developed a sitcom called A Man's Life. And that script ended up on the desk of script editor Terrence Dix, and they decided that Baker and Martin should be allowed to submit an idea for Doctor Who. So originally they submitted a story called The Gift, and this was going to feature Patrick Troughton's then current second Doctor. It involved evil aliens who landed in Hyde Park in a skull-shaped spacecraft and featured spaceship battles and even a giant carrot crashing into the park.
Okay.
The Gift was scaled back to 6 installments by the time the script for episode 1 was commissioned on December 1st, 1969. Now, you might say to yourself, December 1st, 1969? Why did it take so long to get made? Well, by the time it was commissioned, they'd already changed doctors. So now John Pertwee was the new Doctor, and they had to do a rewrite. However, episode 1, the script for episode 1, was not submitted to the production office. Commissioned December 1st, 1969, not submitted to the production office until April 6th, 1970. More than 3 months past the original delivery date of January 2nd. And because white dudes can only fail upwards, they still got to keep their job. And
Classic Bristol Boys.
The worst part is they turned this in, and Barry Letts is the producer, Barry Letts, is like, this script sucks. It's a jumble of ideas and doesn't really come together into anything that resembles an actual story. So this sucks. And also the pair seem to overestimate what could be accomplished on a limited Doctor Who budget. What with the spaceship battles and the giant skull spaceship that lands in the park. So after taking things over, with Dix, Baker and Martin received a commission for a revised version of the storyline, which is now called the vastly superior title, The Friendly Invasion. So they're writing.
I want the paperback novel to be The Friendly Invasion, but then the cover is the skull spaceship careening towards Earth.
Yeah. So they wrote a new version of the script, and they turned it in. And once again, producer Barry Letts and Terrence Dix both felt that The Friendly in Danger was too full of disparate ideas, and therefore Letts was like, "Can you just write it, Dick? Can you just come on, Terrence? Go, you just write it." So Terrence Dix joins forces with Baker and Martin and basically rewrites their whole story because the script is so bad. However, they were, just to add insult to injury, they were asked to add the Master into the storyline because now this episode would not be part of the first season, but in fact the second season, 2 years after the initial green light on the script. They were like, yeah, you're going to need to add the Master to it. Both of them were very upset by this because they did not feel the Master fit well into the established plot. And they threw a fit about it, and basically, Terrence Dix ended up having to write the Master into the story himself. And yet this did not stop them from hiring them in the future. This is like a nightmare. Like, these guys should not have worked in production at all.
Yeah.
Like, this should have been the death nail on their careers, and yet they just kept working and kept being poor to adequate. And I don't understand the power of white people. Anyway. So
I hear
anyway.
you. I hear everything. I hear everything that you said. But to play devil's advocate for a second, according to the TARDIS wiki, Baker and Martin did create K9.
Yes, they do. I mean, we'll get there, but I don't know if it was necessarily their idea or if they just happened to write the script with K9's first appearance in it. And then, therefore, took credit for creating it.
That's true.
I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure.
Barry Letts could have seen a dog crawling up a wall.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Who knows?
Who knows who the idea was?
So, anyway. Okay, so then the story then changed again. The title was now going to be The Vampire from Space. Yet again, a superior title.
Yeah, for sure.
And then they're like, actually, let's go ahead. Let's not do The Vampires from Space. Let's not do The Friendly Invasion. Instead, let's just call it The Axons, which is like the most boring version of the title. And then at the last minute, they changed it to The Claws of Axos.
What about The Friendly Vampire in Space?
That would have been the best. Oh man. But I want that to be a Jodie Whittaker story. So,
The Friendly Vampire. Guys, real quick, I listened to the Jodie Whittaker episode of the David Tennant podcast, and it was. I would recommend it specifically to Whovians.
Oh, okay.
I was like, they'll talk about like acting school or working on Broadchurch, but they like got in the weeds about specifically Jodie Whittaker talking about making that season and like Chibnall's intentions and stuff. And I thought it was super illuminating. And so I wanted to make a point to talk about it on the show for like 2 seconds.
That's really cool.
Yeah, fair enough. That sounds great.
Anyway.
Okay, so then
now back to the good part.
Yeah, back to this. So finally they have scripts that they can actually produce, and they do. When eventually they got to the location work for the story, there was some crazy weather happening, very variable weather, where they shot over 5 days, and the beginning of the week there was snow, then fog, then sunshine on the final day. And so rather than shoot around the weather to explain the inconsistency, Terrence Dix assigned new dialogue to Corporal Bell, who noted that the Axos' arrival had prompted freak weather conditions. And then they just wiped their hands and was like, okay, well, we did it. We got it done. So that's why the weather changes so much throughout the story. Anyway, I mean, that's pretty much it. I will say that the director, Michael Ferguson, this would be his last of his 4 directorial outings, his previous of which was the absolute stone cold classic of Ambassadors of Death. So he directed the Ambassadors of Death, and then
have I seen that one?
This happened. Yeah, we watched it.
Yeah, okay.
Watched it. This was a season 1 Pertwee episode.
Okay,
I think it was like his third or fourth one for like total. It was like the one with the astronaut guys with the skull faces.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Ambassador of Death, real good. And that was the last thing he directed before The Claws of Axos, which was so bad that he decided not to ever direct Doctor Who again. And who can blame him? I will say, overall, like The Claws of Axos, it's not as bad as I remember it being. It's not as boring. It does have some interesting ideas in it, I think, and we'll get through it as we go, and I'll explain the stuff that I do like in this. But overall, it's just such a nothing story, and like the design of the Axos people is so stupid and like it's just like gold, and they don't have eyes because they just have like goop over their eyes, like eye covers that are supposed to be eyes.
I usually am able to like suspend disbelief on these episodes, but I couldn't help every time I saw any of the Axons, I couldn't help but think about those poor actors like hanging out on set for like hours and hours and like sitting on chairs.
Yeah, not being able to see.
Yeah,
because they're just they put these like gold
balls
like
on
their
spheres.
face. I don't know. Terrible. Anyway. All right. Let's get into it.
The Claws of Axos, Part 1. Written by Bob Baker and Dave Martin, a.k.a. the Bristol Boys. Directed by Michael Ferguson. Produced by Barry Letts. Air date, March 13th, 1971. A greasy tube-like living spacecraft careens towards Earth and is picked up by unit radars. Back at unit home base, Mr. Chin is interviewing the Brigadier for a committee inquiry he's leading about unit and the Doctor's very special relationship when the Doctor himself arrives. Meanwhile, Joe meets a man named Bill from America who's looking for the Master. Joe introduces Bill to the Doctor as he gives Mr. Chin the business. Suddenly, Yates informs the Brigadier that a UFO is now 500 miles away from reaching Earth. Chin tells the Ministry about the impending UFO landing, and they order unit to be linked with a missile strike force to destroy the object. The Doctor thinks this is dumb, and he tells the Brigadier so. On the southeast coast, where the object is expected to land, snow and other strange weather starts to occur. The UFO lands near a power complex, and Chin fears that the aliens are after the UK's precious power supply. Unit forces arrive at the southeast coast to meet the UFO. Chin puts himself in charge of the operation and sends Bill away. While this is happening, tendrils emerge from the ship and pull in a capering vagrant who happened to be riding his junkyard bicycle around nearby. Inside the ship, the vagrant's mind and body are scanned and studied by an unseen intelligence. Bill notices the vagrant's bike and discovers the ship, only to be pulled inside himself. Once inside, he finds the Master trapped on board the ship. Golden figures emerge and explain their situation to the Doctor and unit. They're from the planet Axos, and their entire ship was grown from a single cell. In exchange for allowing them to stay on Earth, the Gold Men will give the humans a powerful element called Axonite. To prove its value, the Gold Men use the Axonite to make a frog much bigger than it should be. While Jo explores the ship, she finds Bill, but also finds a weird noodle monster.
So, episode 1 starts with this opening of like the Axos ship, sort of like coming toward Earth, and it's like it was very much reminded me of the opening of Mars Attacks.
Sure.
With like just like Earth in the distance and then like coming for it. Yeah, it was a lot, and I was like, why?
It looks like a very greasy space potato. The ship.
They accomplished in the worst way possible communicating that the ship is living tissue. That this is like organic matter, because it looks like a sloppy, weird like sausage in space.
Yeah,
it's like melting.
Yeah, it's like somebody's organ is just like floating through
Ew.
space. Yeah. It's real gross. And then we meet I think he's a homeless guy on a bicycle. He's got a theme song, and it's pretty great.
The Vagrant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the theme song was great. I if I die first, I want that to be playing as they lower my coffin. There's just like 4 scenes off the bat of this vagrant like finding trash and like riding on a bike around a junkyard with this whimsical like recorder music playing.
Yeah, and he doesn't have any dialogue. He's just going blah.
Like Nick Jr. kind
He
of
finds a bike and he's like, "Rah, bleh."
I think it says something about this story that this is the most memorable part of it. Like for me.
Oh yeah. I love the Vagrant, and he was immediately murdered with no witnesses. The audience were forced to bear witness to this Vagrant getting murdered by this living spaceship.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty rough. Yeah. So yeah, he basically steals a bike and he finds he finds the ship in the park. And he like approaches it, and then a thing comes out of it, and like pulls him in. He's really upset about it. Yeah. So anyway, I like how it's like the point of the story. It seems to me is like they're trying to like convince us that the Axons are good. You know,
sure.
like that they're good guys. Like that's what they're like coming down and saying that they are. But like. Mm-hmm. If the very first thing you do is kill a vagrant, maybe the 70s were a different time, and they're like, oh, well, good, they are on our side. I don't know.
Decrease the surplus population.
Oh, no.
But yeah, like, because like the beginning of this episode, the Doctor is positioned in, it kind of, it reminded me a lot of the one that we're about to see with the Sladine, or the 11th Doctor adventure coming up.
The Solarians?
Solarians, yes, where the Doctor is like, oh, you warmongering humans, like, oh, you're going to shoot first, ask questions later, Brigadier. But like, we're very quickly shown that these are not well-meaning aliens. So it kind of takes the teeth out of whatever moral conflict the story tries to generate.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We meet Mr. Chin, the head of a committee inquiry into UNIT. And
reading a very believable top secret folder.
Yes, that's my favorite part of the episode.
It's so good. There's this thing in this story that like I feel like if they had just really like dug into this idea, I think that this story could have been like better. But there's this idea of like Mr. Chin, like the idea of men in power who are like making stuff roll downhill, you know, like the idea of like, he's got a boss who tells him that it's not going to be my head on the chopping block. It's going to be yours if something goes wrong. And then Mr. Chin later tells someone else below him, it's not going to be my head on the chopping block. It's going to be yours. Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's something that could have been interesting to say about that, especially in the 70s. But
sure, the kind of like no one wanting to take responsibility for this crisis that's looming.
Yeah, well, and just like that being a thing, like with men in power, of like they wiggle out of taking responsibility, and they, by blaming someone underneath them, you know. And I feel like there could have been something really interesting to do with that thematically in this story, but like they just make it a weird like emotional thread in like the first and maybe in the second episode, and then they just kind of drop it.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of like a Roland Emmerich movie, how like in like movies like Godzilla, there's always like one skeptical government guy whose job it is just be flustered the whole time.
Yeah.
And I thought Mr. Chin was a really entertaining character, and I don't know, it got kind of like goofy at parts as well.
Yeah, he definitely did. Yeah, I don't know. It's so he meets the doctor. Obviously he doesn't like him because people of authority never like the doctor because the doctor doesn't respect people of authority. And the doctor definitely seems to be the kind of person where like it's different like depending on the situation, because like sometimes the doctor is very much the type of person that is like a like no one earns my respect. I respect everyone. All you can do is lose my respect, because he's like very much like a humanist kind of person. And then in other cases like this, they're just like no one gets my respect. You have to earn it. And it's like,
yeah, you could literally divide the doctors into those two camps, I think.
Yeah, totally. The first, third, and sixth doctor are definitely in the you have to earn my respect camp. Whereas like the
Everyone's
other ones are
idiot.
a little.
I would say Capaldi's in that camp too.
Yeah, Capaldi probably is in that camp. You're right.
Like first season Capaldi.
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah, he got more benign towards the end when he would be like, everyone's an idiot, but it's okay. Like, we're all here together.
Yeah.
10 and 13 definitely like respects everyone until like they act a fool.
Yeah. 9 is a little tricky. I think he tries really hard to be a humanist, but he struggles with it. Because people are so stupid.
My favorite thing about 9 is he would kind of let it happen. If someone like, I'm in charge, he'd be like, okay, let's see how this plays out for a little bit.
Yeah.
He's a little bit of an agent of chaos.
Yeah.
He's like
he didn't have as much of an ego.
He's like, it's cool. I just got out of a war. Like, I can fix whatever happens. I just want to see how this is going to go down.
Yeah. Play on.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's see. You idiots.
I really like the Brigadier sticking up for the doctor in front of Chin.
Yeah, I do like that. They're buddies. But yeah, the doctor hates this guy. Really hates this guy. And then there's an alarm that goes off about a UFO, and they're like, it's a legitimate UFO. And Chin, who's just been being like, this unit thing, like, why do we even have this? This is so stupid. You're stupid. Everyone here is stupid. We should be spending our money elsewhere. And then there's like a legitimate UFO. And it, like, honestly, if I'm Chin, I'm like, did you guys just like set this up? Like, what are you doing? Because it's like, it's so perfectly timed for him to be there. And they're like, oh, it's a real UFO. And he's like, what? I like that. I don't know. Anyway, so the UFO, they get the word that the UFO is landing. And this whole, like, the tramp stuff that we were talking about, the vagrant, this is like, we get like little scenes of him doing stuff. And we just keep cutting back and forth between this, like, Chin getting angry at the Brigadier and unit, and then the tramp, like, finding a bike, and then Chin meeting the doctor and not liking him, and then he's, like, riding his bike through the snowy landscape.
It's the best.
Yeah. So the thing lands, and that's when it takes the tramp guy.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Tramp guy.
The tramp guy. Not to be confused. Sorry, excuse me. Not to be confused with the tramp.
Sure. That would be crazy if the Axon murdered him.
Yeah. I think Doctor Who would have just gotten canceled, I think, if that had happened. Anyway. You just cut to Lady, and she's got like a plate of spaghetti waiting for her husband to come home.
Oh, that's funny. See, I was thinking of Charlie Chaplin.
Oh.
Wasn't even thinking about the dog.
That's funny. I always forget that that's his name. It's the tramp. I was just thinking of I was thinking of the titular tramp.
It's like The Rock.
Right. Yeah. Anyway. So they go. We meet George Hardiman. And let's see, isn't there there's like an American dude, right? Is that George?
Yeah, with a bad accent. Bill something?
Bill.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I liked Bill. I thought Bill died like 4 times in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was great.
He definitely did. This is also the episode, right, where they find the guy. It's the tramp that they find, right? And they investigate him, and then his head caves in, and everyone's just like, "Well,
I think so, yeah."
Yeah, where his head just like literally just his face caves in, and no one reacts to it, like someone's face just caved in. They just stand up and it's like, oh, well, that's a little odd.
They're men of unit. They're hardened badasses. They've seen a couple faces cave in.
Jeez, his face caves in. Anyway, they
It's
go
pretty
into the ship.
hardcore.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
For 1971.
Yeah, for sure. They go in, and then there's like some trippy mind probes that happen. Like very, very trippy stuff. And then Joe shows up, even though they told her to stay behind. And she shows up, and she just like walks past the unit soldiers and walks into the ship, and no one stops her.
To be fair, the unit soldiers are on easy mode, like pretty much this whole episode.
Yeah, I was like, no one's gonna stop her from going in the ship. Like, she's not even being sneaky about it. She was sneaky walking up to it, and then like just walks past the unit soldiers. They're all just like waiting for the doctor and a brigadier and Chin and stuff to come out of the ship, come back out, and she just walks right past him and walks into the ship, and like no one says anything. And I love the moment where after like the trippy mind probe, like the doctor gets like mind probed, and he's like, it's like this like crazy music and sound effects, and he's like holding his head in agony, and he's like screaming, and then it stops, and the brigadier goes, "You all right, doctor?" And he goes, "Yes, I suppose." And I'm like, Jesus, man.
React to something.
I know. Man's face caves in, you don't say anything. You get mind probed, and it looks like agony, and you don't say anything. Come on. Anyway, they meet the Axons, and the Axons are like, "We bring a gift, Axonite." And,
that's right, Axonite.
Yeah, Axonite. And I guess the Axonite makes things bigger. And they're like, "Oh, we could use that to make cows bigger and have more meat. No one will ever go hungry again." I assume this is where the connection to the giant carrot was in the previous draft.
Sure.
I assume that the Axonite made the carrot giant, and then it fell out of the ship or something.
That was a pretty disquieting idea. That was sort of like, hey, let's make a cow big so we can live off of it for like months.
Yeah, I mean that was like the idea of like, oh, like no one will go hungry again. But then like Chin, of course, is like, but we'll have the exclusivity to it, so that means we'll be able to charge anybody anything for what they want. So like the idea was just like they were going to get this Axonite, this amazing thing that would have solved world hunger, and Chin was going to covet it and like keep it, and so that Britain could become a world power again, like a major world power again.
Jurassic Park, baby.
Oh God, the worst. It's the worst.
You put it on
capitalism.
Oh, guy's the worst. Anyway, for free. It wouldn't even cost anything to do this. What a nightmare. This guy. Anyway, that's the thing is like, see, this is what I'm talking about. Like, there's a lot of like this is like some cool ideas here that they could have really played with, and they just do nothing with it. They just throw it all away. They don't dig into any of these ideas. They just present them, and they're like, yeah. Anyway, so this thing over here now. You're like, God, come on, stick with something. I don't know. Yeah. There's we meet the master. He's been captured by the Axons. I guess he was like the first person to find them or something. And he got.
I really like that. I really like the idea of, much like how the Doctor is always in and out of adventures, we just find the Master in media res. Almost like kind of Thor Ragnarok-y, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, I got captured. Doesn't matter how. I'm here.
Yeah. They're probably wondering how I got here.
Yeah.
Well, someone said Axonite.
To make
I
cows
was like,
big?
Axonite. It's like, Axonite? I could get an even bigger TARDIS. It's bigger on the inside. I don't know why you need that. He just wants a bigger TARDIS than his doctor, I think. Yeah. That seems on brand for him.
Yeah, for sure.
So then there's a veiny monster, and that's how it ends. Yep.
Quote of the script.
Veiny monster, and that's how it ends. Fade to black.
The cliffhangers in this are not great.
Oh, no, they're not good. They're not good at all. Bad cliffhangers. But, it's a messy story, so there's that.
The Claws of Axos, Part 2. Written by Bob Baker and Dave Martin, a.k.a. the Bristol Boys, a.k.a. Bobby B and his DMs. Directed by Michael Ferguson. Produced by Barry Letts. Air date, March 20th, 1971. Jo tells everyone what she's seen, but the Axonites, the people, not the element, say she must be hallucinating. Bill is sent away to the replication center while it's revealed the Master is working with the Axonites to get his TARDIS back. Chin and the Ministry plan on Axonite, the element, not the people, becoming the country's next great export. But the Brigadier thinks this is dumb and tells Chin so. He leads them all out of the ship at gunpoint, but is met by an army and placed under arrest. The Axonite tell the Master they must circle Earth for 72 hours in order to drain the planet of its nutrients. Bill has been replicated, and the Axonites send this copy out to find the Doctor and bring him back to the ship. Both the Master and the real Bill break out of the ship. The duplicate Bill attacks the Doctor back at the lab. The real Bill arrives and pushes his copy into Unit's light accelerator machine and is turned into bubbles. The Master seals the Doctor's TARDIS and puts it on a truck. The Doctor tries to tell the Army about the Axonites, but is confined to the lab, so he decides to start messing with the light accelerator. The real Bill rescues Jo and the Brigadier, and they start looking for the Doctor, who is still messing with the light accelerator when another scientist tries to stop him and is accidentally turned into bubbles himself. The Doctor realizes that the Axonite, the people, the element, and the ship are all one big organism, just as more noodle monsters appear in the lab.
So episode 2, again, we get another instance of it's your head on the block, not mine, which is, again, could be a really interesting thing, but nope. We don't do anything with it. I do like the American guy, he's captured with the Master, and I love that they're like, yeah, we're trapped. And he's like, well, if you could shoot that thing, we could get out of here. And he's like, oh, no problem. Of course I have a gun. I'm an American.
Yeah.
And he just pulls out a gun and shoots the thing, and they get out of there.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. I really like the droopy, the soft-spoken droopy eye stalk.
Oh, definitely. He was great. Do you guys ever watch Small Soldiers?
Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm. Sure. He looks like the guy, like the monster guy. Yeah.
Ocula, I think his name was.
Ocula. Man, I need to rewatch that movie. Joe Dante.
There was Gremlins too. Joe Dante. There was a great moment where the Master is like trying to finagle with the eye stalk monster, and he asks for his laser gun. And I just like that he called, can I have my laser gun? He's like, you do not need your laser gun. Like, I wish we still called it that in the show.
No, he said that with the TARDIS. He's like, you do not need your TARDIS. He's like, well, can I have my laser gun at least? He's like, that is acceptable.
You may have your laser gun, of course.
You may have your laser gun because we know you will not shoot us because we have your TARDIS.
Logic.
Yeah, I was like, man, somebody really wrote all that. Okay. There's no way of knowing who though. Anyway, so yeah, he's just like this. I'm trying to like describe it for people. He's just like this flaccid eye stalk that just like hangs from the ceiling. And he's just like kind of like lazily like just kind of swings up when he's like talking to people. I don't know.
He's somewhat
special.
snuffleupagus-y in texture.
Yes, yeah. Oh, man. So, speaking of really cool ideas that this story does have, but then does nothing with, the reveal in this episode that the eye stalk, the droopy, flaccid eye stalk thing, is the only actual being, and that the ship and all of the gold Axon people are all just parts of him. That he's sort of like grown and like they're like fingers, you know, or like, you know, they're just like, they're all parts of him.
Like claws, if you will.
Right. I love that. I think that's a really cool idea. I like that idea. Like that reveal of like, oh, the alien was all one thing. I just feel like it's happening too early to be dramatic, and then they do nothing with it. It's like such a cool idea, but it has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, like what this episode is about and what happens are almost two different things.
Yeah. Yeah. This episode also has near the end, there's a thing that people run away from that's literally just a man in a slimy blanket, and I just think I was like, man, when they were worried about Baker and Martin not or just like overestimating the budget restraints of, or underestimating the budget restraints of Doctor Who, they weren't kidding, because that is literally just like a guy in a blanket covered in Vaseline.
Yeah, and you can imagine. You can almost imagine what it read in the script, because it reminded me of if like an 8th grade theater troupe or like a high school theater group had to do like John Carpenter's The Thing.
Totally, yeah.
Where it's just like a guy in a suit, and then there's just like gunk and tentacles all over it, just
God,
like Mr. Creepypasta.
I hope that school that did Ridley Scott's Alien as a play does John Carpenter's The Thing next.
Oh yeah.
That would be
You've got to
amazing.
be effing kidding me.
Oh man, that would be so
Like
good.
like a flamethrower.
Yeah. It's like a flamethrower, but it's like an air. It's like it's just like blowing out air, like a leaf blower, and then it's got like
Like
got
streamers?
like flame colored streamers
Yeah.
at the end. That would be with like a light attached to it, so it's just like a flashlight. Oh man,
The spider head is just like a crash dummy head with like a puppet, like they're moving it like
Screw
a
that
puppet.
school. Can we just do this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cass, come to California so we can make this.
Okay, but I hate that movie.
Oh, what?
It's so scary.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty.
Yeah, it's scary, but we're not going to make it scary. We're going to make it with
Okay, good.
with cardboard and paper clips.
I'll conquer my fears.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll go viral for sure, you guys.
We'll finally go viral like we've always wanted.
I had a tweet that went viral once. It was the most terrifying thing that's ever happened to me. I never want that feeling again.
Yeah, it's why I get so like defensive when like a famous person will be like, "Look at this dumb normal person on Twitter." It's like, you don't realize how vulnerable that makes people online.
Oh my God.
Rich people suck.
Yeah. So anyway, what else happens in this episode?
Does the Master team up with Unit in episode 3 or 4?
4.
Okay.
This
That's
is
the next thing
episode
that was-
2. We're still on episode 2. Anything else happen in episode 2?
I don't think so.
That's
I don't
worth
even know
talking about?
I don't even know what the cliffhanger is.
That's the man in the blanket.
Oh, right. Yeah.
In the goopy blanket.
Does the man
He's
turn
a-
into Bubbles in this one? Oh, the doppelganger fight, right? There's like a doppelganger fight.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's near the end, and then the doppelganger turns into the guy in the blanket.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he turned into Bubbles. Oh, the Bubbles turned into the creature.
Yeah. It's a great story, you guys. The bubbles turned into the creature, and then the creature turned into a man in a blanket.
Obviously.
You know,
What
it's
part
funny
of this
that
do you not understand?
it's actually really funny that you adopted like a young boy voice, because so much of this episode, in good ways and bad ways, reminded me of like boys outside playing pretend in like a quarry.
Mm-hmm.
It's like as a kid, you would find like an old junkyard or a quarry, and you're like, oh, this could be a government base, and you're the creepy pasta alien, and you're the bad guy, and we're the army guys. Because this episode just devolves into like shooting and chasing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what this whole era reminds me of a lot. I always call it like the Saturday morning cartoon Doctor Who.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There's a part where
I've long believed that they should come out with a Doctor Who animated series, like a really nice, like 2D animated series that is like each week, you don't know if you're going to get like a first Doctor adventure or a second Doctor adventure or whatever. And they're all like, it's all like just really nice animation, and it's like new adventures with like classic doctors and classic companions.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it feels like that that could happen. Like it would just fit in really nice in a lot of these eras, I think.
Yeah.
The third Doctor would definitely, despite being in the 70s, he feels like an 80s cartoon.
Yeah,
you know,
very much so.
Like it feels like Unit should have like blue lasers, and the Master should have red lasers.
I mean, like I'm pretty sure this is episode 2, but the most entertaining thing to me was the Master's like weird jailbreak where he like hopped onto the back of a car.
Yeah. That was in this one. Yeah. He hypnotized like a driver.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That happens in this one. Anyway. I don't know. So anyway, there's a man in a blanket. That's how it ends. It looks uncomfortable to be in.
This whole episode looks uncomfortable to be in.
Yeah, it looks like you need to like shower a few times. I don't know. It's not great.
The Claws of Axos, Part 3. Written by Bob Baker and Dave Martin, a.k.a. the Bristol Boys, a.k.a. Bobby B and his DMs, a.k.a. 959 Mafia. Directed by Michael Ferguson. Produced by Barry Letts. Air date, March 27th, 1971. The Doctor and Joe are hypnotized by the Axonite and taken back to the ship. Bill is found by Chin and the Army and taken to the hospital wing. The Ministry puts the Brigadier back in charge and sends Unit to go find the Doctor and Joe. The Ministry also ordered Chin to organize air transportation for the Axonite for worldwide distribution. The Master arrives at the power complex with the Doctor's TARDIS. The Doctor is tortured and forced to watch Joe age years, maybe even 5 years, right before his eyes, unless he helps the Axonite drain Earth of its energy. Unit find the Master, but he's able to talk the Brigadier into an uneasy alliance to save the Doctor and the planet. The Doctor escapes from the clutches of the Axonite and frees Joe. The Master prepares to flip a switch that will cause a power surge that will destroy the Axonite, as well as the Doctor and Joe. A risk the Master is willing to take.
Does anything happen in this one?
Well, no, there's some good stuff in episode 3.
Okay.
I do like I like the Brigadier like smugly resisting arrest.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that's in
like
this one.
that's pretty good. Where the guy like tries to come and arrest him, and he's like, "Oh, I think maybe you need to call your superiors because I'm one step ahead of you, kid."
Brigadier
and like
left bridge Stewart.
And like the child soldier is just like, "Oh, what?"
Child soldier.
Yeah, like the 17-year-old boy soldier.
Oh no.
Doctor Who and the child soldiers.
That's how I picture it in my mind's eye. I don't know.
Sure.
It's probably not accurate, but that's certainly how the Brigadier treats him. You stupid child.
You idiot.
I am Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart of Unit.
I'm the Doctor's boyfriend, and I will not be talked to like this.
I do like the Master breaking into the Doctor's TARDIS.
Mm-hmm.
because I like that, like, no one can ever break into the TARDIS except for the Master, because the Master has the tools required to do something like that because they're from the same planet.
Right.
Like, I like that little detail of, like, no one's going to be able to break into the TARDIS except for another Time Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
almost everything Master related in this episode is pretty entertaining. It just feels so disconnected from everything else.
Right. Like him in the TARDIS and like looking at it and just being like, what a botch up. Like,
yeah, there's like fishnets or like wires or something, and he's just like, what? No. Like,
yeah. He's offended by it. And then like this is when the Master learns that the Doctor like doesn't have any of the memories, the knowledge of like how to fix the TARDIS has been deleted from his mind by the Time Lords, and so that's why the TARDIS is in such disarray. Like that's why he's having such trouble fixing it, is because he can't remember how. Mm-hmm. And this is the episode that fixes that. We like get like a working TARDIS at the end of this story, which is the only good thing about this story, I would say, is the TARDIS stuff. TARDIS stuff in this is pretty good.
Yeah, it was surprisingly like mythology building for a classic episode, I thought.
Yeah. Oh, and then we get that great scene of the Doctor getting his worst nightmare realized, which is a companion being elderly.
Oh yeah, okay. The weird aging thing was really funny.
Yeah, they're like aging Joe to death, and he's like watching her get old, and he's like, no, anything but that, no.
Not the hot blonde.
Oh my God.
Leonardo DiCaprio over here.
Oh no.
Oh no.
26, 27, 28.
Oh God, they're so old.
They're almost 30.
Oh
no. Poor Joe.
They're practically inhuman.
Oh God.
Oh man. Yeah, Joe is not given a lot to do in this episode.
No.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, this is the problem with these kinds of thing, like these like this period, and is that like sometimes you just get writers who like could not give less of a crap about the female companion, and they're just like, I mean, no one cares about this. They care about the Doctor and the Master. So
pew pew pew.
Yeah, they don't write anything good for the companion because they just think it's a waste of time, and it's like, man.
Yeah, I mean,
Yikes.
like we go back even a couple weeks, and we have like we have Barbara being mistaken for a god and dealing with the weight of the salvation or death of a civilization on her shoulders.
Mm-hmm. Right.
This
so good,
yeah.
So good. Yeah, and then
Bill goes to the hospital.
Yeah, that does happen. What else happens in this? The Master has an idea to like defeat the Axons, but needs the Brigadier to agree to his unconditional freedom in order to help them. Mm-hmm. Which is a fun scene of just like unconditional freedom, and the Brigadier just like, no, absolutely not. And then someone just goes, come on, man, like just. Let him.
What does it even mean?
Yeah, just let him go. I mean, I just met this guy, but he seems all right. Just let him go. It's fine. Brigadier's just like, fine. Unconditional freedom. Whatever.
Yes.
God.
Yes.
This is so stupid. And then there's like the cliffhanger on this one is like they're gonna kill. Oh yeah, the Master is going to use like TARDIS power to blow up the Axon ship.
TARDIS
but
power.
The Doctor and Joe are inside it, so he's like, well, we can defeat them, but unfortunately, the Doctor and Joe will have to die as well.
No, just nothing else for it.
Yeah,
I hate it as much as you guys.
yeah. I definitely, absolutely hate it as much as you guys, without a doubt. I'm definitely not excited about this, but we need to kill all of them.
I love the doctor and Joe. It's the granddaughter, right?
The granddaughter.
Joe.
I call her the beard. Anyway. Yeah, not, it's so funny because there's a lot of like little moments that are fun, but like the overall story is just like, okay, so the aliens who said they were good turned out to be bad. We knew that because they crushed the vagrant's face in. And it's all a trick, and they're working with the master, but then also they're like, oh, we don't actually need you anymore. And the master's like, cool, I want my TARDIS back, but they don't want to give him a TARDIS back. So then he's like, cool, I'll work with UNIT so that I can get my TARDIS back and also kill the doctor and you guys and get my unconditional freedom. Really, everything's coming up master in this. That's what I've learned. Because the reason that he's willing to like blow up the ship, right, is because he's like, his TARDIS is on their ship, but now he has the doctor's TARDIS, so he doesn't care.
Right.
Right?
I think so.
So
that checks out.
Anyway.
It's a real they had a real like Jack Sparrow Barbossa thing going on in this one.
Yeah, totally.
Oh my god, yeah.
Really do.
How they were always like switching ships and stealing ships.
Everything's coming up master, Doctor.
Yeah, that's been the name of the episode. The Claws of Axos, Part 4. Written by Bob Baker and Dave Martin, a.k.a. the Bristol Boys, a.k.a. Bobby B and his DMs, a.k.a. 959 Mafia, a.k.a. Brizzle Fam. Directed by Michael Ferguson. Produced by Barry Letts. Air date April 3rd, 1971. Joe and the Doctor flee from the Axonite as the Master's power surge causes an electrical storm inside the ship. The Axonite reverse the polarity of the power surge and send it back to the light accelerator, trying to destroy it and the entire lab. Before the Master can escape, the Doctor returns. He tells the Master about the block the Time Lords have placed on his knowledge of dematerialization theory and needs the Master's help so they can escape together to Axos and get over on all these guys. The Axonites and UNIT battle it out as the aliens begin their nutritional draining of the planet. The Doctor tells his human friends that he's leaving them, as he and the Master take the TARDIS to the Axonite ship, trapping them both in a time loop that disrupts the nutritional draining cycle. One by one, the Axonite warriors disappear from the planet's surface, now trapped by the time loop. The TARDIS rematerializes into the lab, and the Doctor half tries to explain to everyone the logistics of what just happened. The Brigadier asks the Doctor if he really intended to leave Earth and abandon all of his new friends. The Doctor tells Brigadier of course that's what he intended to do, but it would seem the Time Lord Council have rigged his TARDIS to return to Earth no matter what he does, like he's some kind of galactic yo-yo. Or a disgraced convict living in exile, trapped in a mental and temporal prison designed by his own people.
So in episode 4, I wrote a note. Just to peer behind the curtain. I watched this a few days ago, so I don't remember what this is in reference to.
Oh,
Nick, maybe you can help me out.
I probably can because I watched this twice.
Oh, nice.
I'm sorry.
So I have in episode 4. I have my first note for episode 4 is after Chernobyl. I know this guy doesn't have a chance.
Yeah. I think this has to because that guy got hit with the light accelerator.
Oh right, the guy he went into they're like, hey, we need somebody to go take a look at this thing, and he's like, here, wear this flimsy tiny suit and this face this air mask. You'll be fine from the radiation. And I'm like, oh no, he won't. He will not.
Is that the same guy who like gets struck by the force lightning and then backflips off of the railing and dies?
I think so. So thankfully the radiation poisoning didn't get him. The heights did.
Yeah, the fall.
The fall. That's good.
Way better.
That's good. Yeah, way better. If you've seen Chernobyl, way better.
Way better on the way out.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, this is everybody joins forces with the Master. I have the note grenade truck. That was
yes. Because I think it's Yates. He's driving a Jeep, and then one of the Axons like crawls onto the hood of the Jeep and is trying to like make them crash. So he just like pops a grenade and is like, "Everybody out!" And they jump out of the.
Oh yeah.
And then it explodes.
He just turned the truck into a giant grenade. Oh man.
Hashtag unit.
There's also that great scene where the doctor explains what a time loop is. Mm-hmm. But can't. Like, he's just like, a time loop. It's a loop of time. You get stuck in it. I don't know. Stop asking questions.
Shut up.
I love the doctor and the master just like unapologetically flirting.
Yeah. It's pretty good stuff. It's pretty good stuff.
You really wish there was just more of them playing off of each other this whole episode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the reason why I really want a season where the master is the doctor's companion.
Yep.
And at some point, I don't know where or how or when or which doctors or what, but like I want it at some point. We got a little taste of it with 12 and Missy, but not enough for my liking.
What were we gonna say? Sorry,
I was just gonna say she turned on him too fast. Like it happened too quickly.
Yeah, like a maxi series where it's like we're just gonna tell this like self-contained story of like the doctor and the master being like stranded or like having to go on this like adventure together.
Yeah,
and like they need each other to stay alive.
Yeah, you could do the like the Key to Time series. You could do something like that, but where like the Time Lords like put the doctor and the master together for some reason. And they have to like go collect stuff.
They get banished together because it's the worst possible punishment for either of them.
Yeah. And then little do they know that they would finally fall in love.
It's like something's got to give.
Yeah. I will say that's the probably the most respectable part about the Missy stuff with Moffat was just like Moffat like just for so long was just like I don't want to do the master, like he's silly, like I don't want to do it. He's like he got the idea to make the master a woman and he's like, well now we can do a lot of sexual tension and really talk about the thing that I really wanted to talk about, which is that the doctor and the master are totally gay for each other.
Right?
Yeah.
They totally make out, you guys.
Yeah, so respect to Stephen Moffat for really he went there. I mean, he couldn't make them like actually gay. He had to make one of them a woman,
right?
But like
he could have tried.
But he was like the history was there. Like he was definitely suggesting that this wasn't the first time that they had crushes on each other. And if this episode proves nothing else, it proves that is in fact the case.
Yeah, like
this is where it started.
The doctor, I love the doctor because like the doctor he like tricks the master into working with him or whatever, and he like betrays Unit, and he's just like, well, we either escape together or we die together. I'm like, that's what I call romance.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
That's gay.
Kind of a weird triangle being laid between these two and the Brigadier.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Yeah, that's true.
It's like now he doesn't want to leave. It's his own personal brand of heroin.
And then the doctor calls himself a galactic yo-yo.
I was about to say that it ends pretty great.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest line to end on.
Like a galactic yo-yo. It was jarring.
Apparently the Time Lords have like rigged his TARDIS so that he will always return to Earth.
So, can we talk about the shenanigans the Time Lords pull in this one? They go in and deleted the Doctor's memories.
Yeah.
And now they're forcing his TARDIS to always go back to Earth like a galactic yo-yo.
Yeah. Because he's banished.
That's true.
Yeah, we haven't seen that one yet.
We won't for a long time.
No, we won't, but it's so good.
But it is so good. Just know that it did happen, and this is his punishment.
Yeah. I like the idea of him getting banned again. But like with the TARDIS, with the Master.
So now, like, he can go on adventures. It's just that every return, it's only a round trip. He can only do round trips.
It's like Dragon Tales.
Sure.
Oh my god.
I don't understand that reference, but apparently it was good because
That's so random. Oh.
They can't stay in Dragonland.
Right?
They have to go back
They
to
gotta
the
go
playroom
back
at the end.
I haven't thought about that show in years. That's amazing.
I think about it a lot.
oh man.
Scott's too old.
Yeah, it's true. Apparently, the legend of this episode amongst like people who work on Doctor Who, when you do a page one rewrite of a story, of a Doctor Who story, it's called a Claws of Axos rewrite. So it's well known that this episode sucks.
That's so funny.
Well, good. I mean, yeah,
good.
It very quickly devolved. It doesn't even, I don't know, as a writer, it's almost kind of useful to watch, to be like, okay, this is the difference between a story and a series of events.
Yes, absolutely. Because yeah, that's definitely what this feels like. Yeah. Anyway,
I do have some vague fondness for this because it's the first classic Doctor Who story I ever saw.
Whoa.
Yeah. Which is a weird one to start on, but
yeah.
yeah. So it'll have a place in my heart for that reason alone. But not good.
Definitely. And there's enough events in this series of events that are like fun and entertaining that I don't think I was ever like, oh my god. But it was just like very disjointed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't wait to watch another Baker and Martin.
Well, we don't have another one of theirs this season, do we?
I don't think so.
Okay, good.
The Bristol Boys.
The Bristol Boys.
Pew, pew. That's how they would leave every meeting.
Another episode done by the Bristol Boys.
They just put on sunglasses and leave.
Yeah! Anyway.
Well, there it goes. There's two morons, huh?
So that's the Claws of Axos. It's fine. Yeah, that's it. It is not well made. And there's a lot of really fun moments throughout it, I think. And a lot of like interesting ideas, but none of them are really drilled down to anything beyond a surface level. And it's the good parts are not worth the sum of the whole, I think. Because the sum of the whole is confusing.
It's very meh. It's very mediocre.
Yeah. Very mediocre. Very mediocre. And I think that it would be outright bad if it wasn't for like those little bright spots here and there. Anyway, just imagine if the Master wasn't in this story. Ugh.
Yeah.
They didn't want the Master to be in it. They fought it.
That's true. Wow.
God, can you imagine?
Are they the Gatus of Classic Who? I think they are.
They might be, yeah.
Because
Wow.
okay. Yeah. That tracks.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I think Gatus loves the Master, because the Master's
true.
very...
I guess Gatus makes his writing deadlines, so...
Yeah. I think, yeah, that's true. That is true. Anyway. All right. Well, we have a Facebook group. You know where to find it. The Doctor's Companion listener group over there. So join up there if you want to talk about some Doctor Who stuff. You can support us on Patreon at duelinggenre.com/support. We have a TeePublic store, duelinggenre.com/merch. You can get t-shirts and stuff. And if you're shopping on Amazon, please use our affiliate link, duelinggenre.com/Amazon. Go there, buy anything on Amazon as you normally would, and we'll get a little cut of Amazon's profits from everything that you buy. All of those things help us keep the lights on, help support the show, and make sure that we don't have a hiatus as long as the last one. Anyway, next time we'll be back with the Fourth Doctor and Planet of Evil. Bye, everybody.
Bye.